I woke up on the hospital floor with my face pressed against cold linoleum, my graduation gown soaked in sweat, and zero missed calls from my parents. But here's the thing nobody tells you about hitting rock bottom. Sometimes you need to shatter completely before you realize you've been living someone else's life. What happened next didn't just change my relationship with my family. It destroyed the version of me that kept begging for crumbs of love from people who saw me as a backup plan. My name is Laura, and I'm about to tell you how the worst day of my life became my liberation day. Picture this: 22 years old, top of my class at Northwestern, engineering degree with honors, and I just landed a position at a tech startup that would make most graduates weep with envy. I should have been floating. Instead, I was obsessively checking my phone every 30 seconds, watching the ceremony entrance like a hawk, my stomach twisting itself into knots. Because my parents had promised they'd be there. "We wouldn't miss it for the world, sweetie," Mom had said on the phone 3 days earlier, her voice dripping with that syrupy tone she only used when she wanted something. "Your father's already pressed his suit." I'd actually cried. Like a complete idiot, I'd cried tears of relief. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, let me know in the comments. You're not alone. The thing about being the spare child is that you become an expert at reading the subtext. My younger brother Cameron, now he was the golden child. Star quarterback, charming smile, could do no wrong. When he'd graduated high school 2 years ago, Mom and Dad threw him a party with a rented venue, a DJ, and a guest list of 200 people. I helped set up the decorations. The ceremony started at 2 p.m. By 2:47, I knew they weren't coming. By 3:15, when they called my name and I walked across that stage alone, I'd stopped checking my phone. By 3:45, when everyone else was taking family photos and I was standing by the arts building pretending to fix my makeup, I felt something crack inside my chest. Then my phone buzzed. Finally. Mom's text read, "Cameron's regional finals got moved to today. Had to be here to support him. You understand. We'll celebrate when you get home. So proud of you. I want you to understand something. This wasn't the first time. This was the 50th time. Maybe the 100th. When I made the Dean's List freshman year, they were at Cameron's homecoming game. When I won a national engineering competition sophomore year, they were touring colleges with Cameron, colleges that would later reject him, by the way. When I called crying after my first breakup junior year, Dad told me he'd call back and never did. But this? Missing my college graduation? I actually laughed. Standing there in my cap and gown, clutching my phone, I laughed so hard a passing professor asked if I was okay. "I'm fine," I told him. Just realized something funny. What I'd realized was that I'd spent 22 years auditioning for a role I was never going to get. The panic attack hit during the reception. One moment, I was declining a glass of champagne from a classmate's mom who looked at me with such genuine kindness it made my throat tight. The next moment, the room was spinning, my lungs had forgotten how to work, and I couldn't feel my hands. I remember thinking, very clearly, oh, this is what dying feels like. Then nothing. I came to on the floor with campus security standing over me, someone's suit jacket under my head, and a crowd of concerned strangers who cared more about my well-being than my own parents ever had. They called an ambulance. I begged them not to. Not because of the cost, though that crossed my mind, but because I knew exactly how that call would go. "Hi, Mom. I collapsed at graduation, and I'm in the hospital." "Oh, honey, that's terrible. Cameron just scored the winning point. Can I call you back?" The EMTs checked me over. Severe dehydration, exhaustion, acute stress response. One of them, a woman maybe in her 40s with kind eyes, squeezed my hand and said, "Baby, when's the last time you ate?" I couldn't remember. "When's the last time you slept more than 4 hours?" I couldn't remember that either. She didn't say anything else, just looked at me like she understood everything I wasn't saying. They wanted to take me to the ER. I refused. Signed a waiver, promised I'd see my doctor, and sat on the curb outside the medical sciences building watching families load up cars with dorm room furniture, laughing and taking pictures and celebrating together. This is where everything shifted. If you want to hear more stories about finding yourself after toxic family dynamics, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. That's when my phone rang. Mom. For one stupid, hopeful second, my heart jumped. Maybe someone had told them. Maybe they felt guilty. Maybe. Laura. Great news. We're taking Cameron to that steakhouse he loves for a celebration dinner. The one that's, kind of expensive? Could you Venmo your dad $200? Consider it your contribution to the celebration. I stared at the phone. Did you hear me? Laura. I heard you, I said quietly. Great. Send it to his usual account. Oh, and we'll need you home next weekend. Cameron's getting a new car, and we need someone to drive his old one to the dealership for trade-in. You don't have anything important going on, right? Something in my brain just stopped. You know what's funny? And I mean genuinely hilarious in the darkest possible way? 3 months earlier, my grandfather, Dad's father, had passed away. Grandpa Joe was the only family member who'd ever really seen me. The only one who came to my science fairs, who read my report cards, who called on my birthday every single year without fail. He left me $50,000. My parents didn't know. Nobody knew except me and the lawyer. Grandpa Joe had pulled me aside at Thanksgiving 2 years before he died, winked at me, and said, Laura girl, I'm leaving you something. Don't tell your father. He'll find a way to make it about Cameron. This is for you, from someone who knows you're going places. I'd laughed it off. Never thought he was serious. But he was. The money had been sitting in an account for 3 months while I figured out what to do with it. I'd been thinking about a down payment on a small condo near my new job. Maybe a reliable car. Practical things. Now, sitting on that curb in my graduation gown with my mother on the phone asking me to fund my brother's celebration dinner, I had a different idea. Mom, I said, my voice steadier than I'd ever heard it, I need to tell you something. Make it quick, honey. The reservation's in 20 minutes. I collapsed today. At graduation. Passed out completely. The EMTs said it was from stress and exhaustion. Silence. Then, oh. Well, are you okay now? Am I actually started laughing again. Yeah, Mom. I'm fantastic. Good. So about that $200, I'm not sending it. What? I'm not sending it. I'm not coming home next weekend. And I'm not doing this anymore. Doing what? Laura, you're being dramatic. We missed one graduation. You've missed everything, I said, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for saying it. Every single thing that mattered to me, you've missed. And I'm done pretending it doesn't hurt. This is ridiculous. We'll talk about this when you're calmer, I hung up. Here's what you need to understand about going low contact with family. It's not one big dramatic moment. It's 1,000 small decisions. I didn't block them. I didn't send a manifesto. I just stopped. Stopped answering calls immediately. Stopped saying yes to requests. Stopped organizing my life around their needs. And you know what happened? Nothing. For 2 whole weeks, nothing happened. No calls checking on me. No texts asking if I was okay. Nothing. Cameron's Instagram was full of celebration photos. New car, family dinners, Dad beaming with pride. Not one mention of me. I started my job. Found a tiny studio apartment. Made friends with my coworker Rachel, who took one look at me and said, "You've got that look." What look? The look of someone who just escaped something. Whatever it was, good for you. I didn't tell her everything. Not yet. But slowly, carefully, I started building a life that was actually mine. Then, exactly 3 weeks after graduation, Dad called. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. Laura. Finally. We've been trying to reach you. That was a lie. My phone showed 3 calls in 3 weeks. But whatever. What's up, Dad? Listen, we need to talk about something important. Can you come home this weekend? I'm pretty busy with work. It's about your grandfather's estate. My blood went cold. What about it? Well, we've been going through the paperwork, and apparently he left you some money. Quite a bit, actually. Your mother, and I think it would be best if you contributed that to the family fund. You know, for Cameron's college loans and the house repairs we've been putting off. It's what Grandpa Joe would have wanted, keeping the family together. Wait until you hear what I said next. But first, have you subscribed? Because what comes next is the most satisfying part, and you won't want to miss a second of it. I was standing in my tiny kitchen, eating ramen from the pot because I hadn't unpacked my dishes yet, and something about the absolute audacity of this man made me smile. "No," I said. "No, that's what I said. No. Laura, be reasonable. Family takes care of family." "Funny," I interrupted. "Where was that energy when I was in the hospital after collapsing at graduation?" Silence. "I wasn't in the hospital," he said slowly, "because I refused the ambulance." "But you didn't know that, did you?" "Know why? Because none of you called to check." "Now hold on, do you know what Grandpa Joe told me before he died?" He said, "This is for you, Laura. Don't let your father turn it into something for Cameron." Those were his exact words. He knew. He knew you'd do this. Your grandfather wasn't in his right mind at the end. He was perfectly lucid, and his lawyer has that in writing. The money is mine, legally and morally, and I'm not giving you a penny. You selfish, ungrateful." I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From adrenaline. From the sheer electric joy of finally saying no. Rachel came over that night with wine and Thai food. I told her everything. She listened, didn't interrupt, and when I finished, she raised her glass. "To Grandpa Joe," she said, who clearly knew a badass when he raised one. The calls escalated. Mom tried guilt. "You're tearing this family apart." Cameron tried brotherhood. "Come on, sis, help me out." Dad tried anger, then bargaining, then threats. I responded to exactly none of it. But here's the thing about setting boundaries with people who've never respected them: they escalate. They showed up at my apartment. I'd been there exactly 5 weeks when I heard pounding on my door at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Through the peephole, all 3 of them. I didn't open it. "Laura, open this door right now." My neighbor, Mr. Chin, poked his head out. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I called through the door. "They're leaving." "We're not leaving until you open this door and we talk about this like adults." Mr. Chin, bless him, pulled out his phone. "I'm calling building security." They left. But not before Mom shouted, "You're making a huge mistake. Family is everything, and one day you'll need us, and we won't be there." I opened the door then, just a crack. "Mom," I said, looking her right in the eye, "you've never been there." "That's the whole point." I closed the door on her shocked face. 2 months later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Is this Laura?" "Who's asking?" "My name is Jennifer. I'm your Aunt Jennifer. Your dad's sister." I'd heard of her. Dad never talked about her. According to family legend, she'd abandoned the family years ago. "How did you get my number?" "Same lawyer who handled Dad's estate. He thought I should reach out." "Laura, I heard what happened. With your graduation, with the money. I want you to know something." "What?" "I'm the family member who abandoned everyone 20 years ago." "Want to know why?" "Why?" "Because your father tried to steal my inheritance from our mother. Said it should go to family needs." By which he meant his new truck. "Your grandfather stopped it, but barely. He told me to run and never look back." I sat down hard on my couch. "He left you that money," Jennifer continued, "because he knew history would repeat itself. He told me about you, Laura. Said you were the smart one, the kind one, the one who deserved better. He asked me to look out for you if something like this happened." I don't need. I'm not offering money. I'm offering something better. Family dinner. Next Sunday. My house. No agenda, no strings. Just someone who gets it. I went to dinner. Jennifer's house was small, cozy, filled with plants and photographs and the kind of warmth I'd always imagined homes were supposed to have. She had a husband who actually listened when I spoke, 2 teenage kids who were genuinely interested in my engineering work, and a chocolate lab named Professor Biscuits who immediately decided I was his new best friend. Over roasted chicken and vegetables, she'd asked about my food preferences beforehand, which made me embarrassingly emotional. Jennifer said something I'll never forget. "The family you're born into gives you your start in life. The family you choose gives you your life. Choose better than they did." I see my parents now maybe twice a year. Holidays, if that. They still don't understand what they did wrong. Cameron got engaged recently. They've asked me to contribute to the wedding fund. I declined. I used Grandpa Joe's money for a down payment on a real apartment, a car that doesn't break down every other week, and therapy, so much therapy. The rest I invested, just like he taught me. Last week, I got promoted. Rachel and I celebrated with champagne that cost more than my monthly rent at that first studio. Jennifer and her family sent flowers. My parents didn't know it happened. And for the first time in my life, that doesn't hurt. Because I finally understand, sometimes the greatest act of self-love is refusing to keep breaking yourself into smaller pieces to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about finding yourself after family trauma. And remember, you don't owe anyone access to your peace. Not even the people who gave you life. Tomorrow's story: my parents sold my college fund for my brother's wedding, then asked me to pay for their retirement. You won't believe what happened next. I'm still learning what it means to be my own person. But I know this much: rock bottom taught me how to build a foundation that's actually mine. And that inheritance? The best part wasn't the money. It was finally understanding that Grandpa Joe saw me. Really saw me. And sometimes, being truly seen by just one person is enough to teach you how to see yourself.